Alright, wow, that first video kind of ended a lot more abruptly than I thought. Let's continue, I guess. So, if you remember from last video, we got the clones of the clouds moving, the clones of the fighter jets moving, and you also could move your main player with the arrow keys. So, once we get done with that, you'll notice that we've finished with making a clone of the laser. So now if I hit the space bar, you'll see that I leave a trail of lasers that don't do anything other than just sit there. Which, maybe for a different game might have its purpose, but for this one, it doesn't. So, besides just going to my fighter jet, which, actually, let's rename this because it's kind of starting to bug me. If you want to rename it, you just have to let me go back. Hit this I button right here. You can rename any of your sprites. So let's name this fighter jet, just for sake of me not going crazy. Alright, so now it actually says go to fighter jet, which makes a lot more sense. So, similar to all the other things, you can either use a forever or repeat until loop, but I'm going to use a forever loop. Within that forever loop, I will say if something is happening, I will delete it. What do we want to do to delete it? Well, most likely you want to hit the fighter jet. So let's put that in there. So let's put in first, delete this clone. Remember, if touching, so touching, this can sense a lot of things. It can touch your mouse pointer, the edge, but what you really want to do is the enemy, which is actually the other fighter jet. So let's run that in. Now if I do this, well actually, let's see if I can kind of, you'll notice that those ones that I've set up delete if they happen to hit. There you go, see they're deleting. Anyways, but first I kind of, based on this, you also want it to move, right? So I'm going to change Y by. There's move steps, and sometimes move steps can work depending on which way you're pointing, but I think changing Y and changing X is more definite direction because you know you're going to go forward or backwards or side to side, depending on how you write it. So now it will actually look like I'm shooting, and I can actually, you'll see that they'll delete when they hit the enemies. So you've kind of got this thing going. They're just deleting though, you can kind of see. One weird thing with Scratch is if you don't have any sort of weight, so this is a weight block right here, some of the clones, even if they touch it, and when I'm going to go over here and say if it's touching the laser, delete it, if you don't have this weight, it might not delete both of them, so I'm just going to say wait 0 seconds. You might think this sounds silly, but even this, like, split second actually allows the clone to touch this fighter jet, otherwise it won't actually delete. So let's add that in there. So there's a couple ways you could add it in there. You could put another if statement, so I could just put in another kit. And if it's touching the laser, so remember lasers actually called images. I can put this in here and then run this, and I got these. So now if I run this, they're really hard to hit. You see they're deleting, but you'll see sometimes the lasers that are firing aren't necessarily deleting. So similar to the other one, you should add that wait 0 seconds. Now, I was saying that there's another way you could do this. You can also add in this OR function ability, or operator. It's not a function. This combined with this will actually, oh, they're all stacking up at the bottom. We'll do both. We'll delete whether it's touching the edge or whether it touches the laser. So now you've got a little bit better. Oh, and then back to hiding the actual laser. So when this flag's clicked, let's hide this laser. Otherwise, once this gets, let's show. So now we've got the basic laser coming and going. That's actually really cool, right? I mean, I guess I would think it's pretty cool. Oh, but I'm going to go back because, so just like this laser, see how I said when this clicked hide, but when the clone show, you'll see these like hidden things down here. So there's this cloud, and then there's this jet. So these are the main sprites. So you want to hide and show them. You want to hide this when you click them, so this will hide the main sprite. But you want to show the clones, right? You want to show the clones. So that way, let's go to the cloud. That way you don't have this random sprite that's just hanging around. So now if I play this, we don't have those random things coming. And now I can hit them, and they will explode. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, you can start adding sound effects into this. I don't know if they have any good sound effects for too many things, but so you can go to the sound library and we can look through this. Let's see. probably electronic, I assume. You can play through these. Let's see. Laser, they've got laser. So that could be, I mean, let's just use laser, I guess, just for kicks and giggles. You can play around with some of the effects though. You can kind of like reverse it, fade in, fade out. So you can cut and paste and mess around with these. But for now, oh, I put that on the cloud. So one thing that's annoying though, you have to put on the right sprite. So I'm going to have to re-grab this sound. Because pop is not what I want at all. That seems pointless. So let's just get laser. Actually, I like laser 2 a little better. So now we can put in this laser sound. So sounds and then play sound laser. So now, so at least it's got some interesting sound effects playing. Alright. So we've got all this set up. Now, you kind of see this random cloud that you might think it's pointless or something. Here, this is actually my explosion sprite. But it's got some code from a different game on it, so I'm going to take that out. So you'll see that this kind of can go through the explosions. It's kind of small, so we'll work on changing that. And I'm going to keep this for now, just on this main jet. So let's have this explode when it gets hit by, say, one of the jets. So let's make a block, say explosion. Okay, so basically what you're going to say is, if touching, there's a lot of if touchings and ifs and ors, or not ors, and yeah, I guess ors, but in programming in general, I once had a person say it's like the sword in Halo, because it's so powerful, and it really can be. So let's see, it's called Sprite 9. Oh, no, not Sprite 9, sorry, if touching this fighter jet. So if touching this, I'm going to broadcast a message, just because this is one way to do it. So I'm going to broadcast explosion. Message, explosion, or exp. I'm just going to do exp for shortness. So, what's going to happen now is it's going to broadcast this message. And what's nice about broadcasting is now I can tell this guy here when I receive exp, you're going to make it go to the position of this fighter jet. I'm also going to hide and show this again. So hide when the green flag's clicked. Show when this is not. Okay, so there we go. So it looks kind of small. Like if you look at this explosion, I kind of want it to be bigger. I like bigger explosions. Who doesn't like bigger explosions? So let's set this to 200%. So now let's just test this. So you'll see that that's the size of the explosion. And it seems more proper because that's closer to the size of the jet. That's just purely on how you want to make this game more realistic or not. So, now you're going to want to loop through all these costumes after you show it. So, there's, I believe, 8 costumes. I've used this a couple times. Yeah, 8 costumes. So, you can actually change this to just 8. And you're going to want to start at the first costume, obviously, not switch costume 8, but switch to costume 1. And you're going to want to go through all the next costumes. Actually, then you only want to repeat this 7 times because you don't want to go through. So, now if I click this, we can show you that it's really fast, though, so you kind of couldn't see it very well, but you can kind of see it exploding. Slow it down just so it looks a little bit more realistic and not like this super fast explosion that just occurs. Let's do this. So now that seems a little bit better. And then of course you want to hide it at the end so it's not just sitting there. Let's do 0.1 just because it seems a little silly to be. Alright. One thing I did forget was you do want to hide the main jet when this occurs. So now that you're hiding the main jet at a certain point, you do want to show it when you start, otherwise you won't show it when you start the game. So now let's see if I play this. So you see how it exploded. Even though the one thing I do want to mention, I think it's hard to tell, but my jet is technically still there, so if I click on this, it's still there, so it might accidentally show if one of those things touches it. So okay, now I've got the basic explosion. It's kind of cool. I think you've already gotten pretty far, so I've got spacebar. I can delete those guys. We don't have points yet. We don't have everything yet. But you've got some basics. I think you could take this game and go in a lot of different directions. One thing I think if you noticed in the game I first demoed is we had these guys actually shooting at you. So I think it's kind of cool, and I think it's actually a lot simpler than you think to get these clones to shoot at you. So let's make something that says fire.